Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fifth edition of the master class. Thank God it's Intelligent Friday. We will just wait for a few minutes because we have some late adopters who haven't joined. So we'll just give them like 2 or 3 minutes, then we'll start. Thank you. All right, I guess since we have the recording, we can start. Okay, welcome everybody. This is our fifth edition of Thank God It's Intelligent Friday Masterclass. And the topic for today is mobile app personalization hacks. We've been on this session for the past 5 weeks. We've addressed different issues from website personalization, how to personalize, the importance of it. So today, we're going to be talking mostly on mobile app personalization hacks. So before we start, here is a little bit of summary of what we'll be talking about today. So this is our agenda today. Firstly, we will talk about mobile app acquisitions and conversions. Then we'll discuss the app user's journey from being a prospect to being loyal, why mobile app personalization makes a difference, balancing the need for data privacy and engagement, how to build effective teams for personalized marketing, and inspiring ideas on how you can personalize on your mobile app. So let's do a little bit of introduction to our speakers. First of all, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Chigozie Anyanso, who is the head of Enterprise Solutions Engineering Technology in Sterling Bank. He has a bachelor's degree in computer science from Babcock and an MS in data science from Walden University in the US. He's an experienced software engineer in the banking sector with over 12 years of experience in architecting, building solutions, payment solutions, platforms, and integration. He currently manages the Enterprise Solutions Engineering team in Sterling Bank. Welcome. Thank you, sir, for bringing your experience to this session. You are very welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great, sir. Our second speaker is myself. My name is Chukwudi Nwokike. I'm the Client Success Manager for Nigeria and Africa for Netcore. I belong to the Netcore Marketing Technology Group. I have 11 years experience in digital marketing and programming, and I've handled a number of web and mobile projects. And I'll be speaking today on mobile app personalization hacks. And the last speaker, last but not the least, a seasoned digital marketing professional, Mr. Kayode Abbas. He was one of the pioneering team members for Gigi Nigeria Marketplace and played a key role to develop the brand. He has a vast experience handling digital marketing and acquisition campaigns from different companies like Nige, Wema Bank, Coronation, entertainment lounges, and different verticals. You are very welcome, Mr. Kayode.
Thank you very much, Okay, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so this is our first agenda. We are going to discuss about mobile app acquisitions and conversions. I'll hand over to Kayode, who is a digital marketing professional, who has done a number of acquisition campaigns in the past. Kayode, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much for the introduction, CK. It's a pleasure being here, like I said earlier. Before we head right into the discussion, how to acquire users for your mobile app, I think first of all, we need to talk about the issues, the problems, the challenges with mobile app acquisition campaigns. So aside from the usual, common problems of high cost of paid acquisition, retention, the problem of churn, getting users to do what you need them to do, the desired action, and there are some major challenges that are pertinent, that to the times we are in, in 2021 especially. So these are the challenge of the App Store being very, very crowded. I don't need to tell you the number of apps that we have in the App Store. I think the Apple App Store alone has about 40 million plus apps. And it's really it's not a small feat, to try to make your app stand out and make people download it and use it. And also, people are downloading fewer apps today than before. There was a recent survey that that was done by, I think, Branch, and then they found that the longer people use their mobile phone, so like people that are have used their mobile phone for like 10 plus years, are not likely to download newer apps. So it's a problem, and and this is part of the challenges that we are facing today as of 2021. So walled garden advertising networks like Facebook, Google, ByteSize, Snapchat, all of them are locking in their data, within their apps, within their walls. And they're making it harder for us as advertisers to track, our app acquisition efforts. And then there's a bias towards companies with the largest wallet. So if you are playing with a small chest, like you don't have as big a big wallet as as the big boys, there's you're going to be, the environment now is going to be biased towards you. And then there is, last but not the least, the iOS 14 and 15 changes. So if you've been running any mobile app install campaigns, recently you would have, come across it. So I remember sometime in April, we were running a campaign for Wema Bank. Then all of a sudden, we just noticed that, the AppsFlyer accounts, we just stopped seeing, reports for iOS and attributions. And, we had to contact the support team. And when we did that, we found out that, the iOS 14 and 15 changes has taken effect. So I'm sure you must have heard about, the announcement about Apple taking privacy very seriously. And so they've, if you download any iOS apps now, you would see a pop-up asking you to allow the advertiser to track you. So that's it's under their framework called the apps tracking transparency. So they need users to give you consent now before you can track them. And this, is affecting a lot of app acquisition campaigns. So when it affected us, we had to shift, some of our ad spend from iOS campaigns. We shifted it to Android, pending the time that we now had to put in, because you now have to with your SDKs, you have to now implement that new ATT tracking pop-ups into it. So without it now, you won't be able to run iOS campaigns. And that's a major challenge, because if people don't give you their permissions, you cannot, get access to their IDFA. That's the identifier for advertisers' details. So you won't be able to know details about the user. You won't be able to personalize. You won't be able to retarget them. A lot of those things. So they have to give you access to it. If they don't, give you access, then it's a problem. So these are the major challenges that we are facing, as at today. It started from 2020, till now. So as recently as today, it's a challenge in app acquisition campaign. CK. Okay, so yeah, so when it comes to acquiring users, new users for your app, this framework by Eric Rice, if you've read the book, The Lean Startup, you would know about this framework. I'm sure most people on this webinar, are not new to growth marketing and, applying the growth engines to their campaign. So, but basically for those that are new to it, I think you should get the book, The Lean Startup by Eric Rice. Very, very insightful book, that will show you how to drive growth for, not just your app, but for your business in general. So yeah, so we have, the sticky engine. So there are three growth engines: the sticky engine, the viral or referral engine, the paid engines, and these are the approaches and what matters and the key measurement metrics. I will not go into them in details. I think you should, you can read up about it because of time and get the book, The Lean Startup. And so there's the AARRR framework. Acquisition. AARR stands for acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. Next, please, okay. Okay, so for your acquisition campaigns, of course, we know that we have several acquisition channels. So for as far as acquisition is concerned, so basically acquisition is that first step of turning unaware visitors, into interested prospects. Is that the stage, that first stage where you drive visitors, to your landing page. So in the case of an app, all those people come to your landing page, they see your app, they see your value proposition, then some of them, would leave, a percentage of them would download your app. So once they download your app, you've ticked that box of, acquisition. So the next stage of that is the activation stage, which is basically where you, how do I, let me see, how do I explain? Okay, so for the activation stage, it depends on the, your product, for some products, the activation starts when, after the user has registered and the user starts, taking the actions that deliver results for them. And so if your app is too confusing or doesn't deliver on the promise, that you made to them on your landing page or on your website or even on the app store where they downloaded the app, of course, users are going to churn. They're going to leave the app, so your value proposition is very, very important. For acquisition to happen, for activation to happen, you need to be able to create real value. You need to deliver the results, the promises that you made to, users during the acquisition stage. So as you saw in the previous slide, or as you're seeing now, there are several channels of acquiring users that you can use. There are the paid channels, which we are, as advertisers, we're already used to them, paid channels, the mobile app, paid channels, the web app, paid channels, and, the cross channels, platforms that you can use as well. So for organic, we have your blogs, your email marketing, all of those. Social media can be, both paid or organic, depends on how you use it. So because of time, I will not go, in depth into it. But I think, if you are not familiar with this concept, you should, be able to read up on it, especially about the growth engines. So what I'm going to talk, next slide, please. Okay, so now we've talked about the challenges, and as a smart marketer, you need to be able to overcome some of these challenges. There's nothing we can do about it. iOS, came up with their own changes. You either comply with it or, you drop iOS users entirely. And you know how many users are using iPhones and iOS devices. So it's something you can, it's not a game that you can win basically with this platform. So you need to learn how to adapt, with the changes and come up with, ways that you can, make your app acquisition campaigns going. So first things, we need to start thinking about, so which is why I talked about the growth engine in the first place. We need to start exploring other channels of acquisition. We need to look at owned and organic channels like search engine optimization, SEO. We need to look at web to app. And in this place, in web to app, that the channel is where Smart Tech stands out. I remember, we're working on a campaign for, I don't know if I should mention the brand name, but First Bank. And then one of the things we did for them was the web to app optimization using Smart Tech. So we were able to create smart banners for users, returning users. With Smart Tech, you can create personalization for returning users. So when a returning user that we've identified that probably has the app, we have a smart banner for them, and an offer that when they click it, it takes them to the app, and then they can take advantage of that offer. And then for new users as well, you can also use that same smart banners using Smart Tech. And there are many other tools that you can also use as well. But we need to start exploring different channels. Let's not just rely on just the page channels alone, that we're used to, the Google ads and everything. So we need to think about channels like SEO and web to app. And also, stores have begun to use QR codes. For example, Danfo Bistro. That's one of my favorite restaurants on the island. Anytime I'm in Ikoyi, I can drive by into Danfo. And if you go to Danfo, you see they have their QR codes, on their packaging. When you take food out in the takeout bag, they have their QR code there. On the menu also, there's a QR code there where you scan also, and it shows you, the menu, and then you can also download the app and you can place an order through that. So these are channels that we need to think about. And then there's the Text Me app. So if you've used what's the name of I'm sure you've come across all of those landing pages where you go to and you see a form to put in your text, your phone number, and when you send it, it sends a text message to you with the link to download the app. So we need to start, we need to think about different channels aside from, these paid channels that we're used to. So then if you also decide to use paid, the paid channels or the paid engine of growth, you need to try discovery-based advertising. So by discovery-based advertising, I'm going back to that same challenge that I talked about, which is that a lot of users, especially users that have been using their devices for a long time, they tend not to download new apps. So you need to find ways for them to discover your app. So for example, while I was with Gigi, what we did was, we partnered with Transion Ads. So Transion has this, they have this, should I call it a plan or a package, whereby, they would pre-install, you can pay for it, your app will come pre-installed in their phone, So that was a way we were able to drive, a lot of discovery of the Gigi app on so many phones. So a lot of people with Infinix, Tecno, itel phones, have that app. And when they are scrolling through, maybe searching for something, how phones have this search functionality where you can search for things. So when you're searching for things, you actually stumble, you discover the app there, on your device, and then you can explore it. So we need to also try, try discovery-based advertising and try trust-based advertising. So trust-based advertising is what we're used to, with the influencer marketing and affiliate marketing, And so, like I said, we need to explore all of these options fully, to drive acquisition. So for campaigns targeting iOS users, we talked about the new changes with iOS 14 and 15. I wish I had more time. I would have gone, into some of this, the implication, the impact of this iOS, But there's a course you can take from AppsFlyer that you can use to, I can't remember the title right now, but if you just Google Apple iOS AppsFlyer, if you know how to, do Google search with Boolean tags, you should be able to find the cost. So I mean, so if you're still running paid campaigns to iOS users, you should be able to explain, to them the value of opting in, because I mean, I will not lie to you. A lot of those pop-ups, the ATT pop-ups, the advertiser tracking, pop-ups, it is affecting a lot of acquisition campaigns. So globally, a lot of advertisers have noticed that users, are not opting in to be tracked. So you need to be able to explain to them the value of opting in. You need to tell them, the benefits. So for example, if your app is a free app, you need to tell them about the monetary benefits. If you download the Facebook app today, you would even see that pop up, there. They will tell you that, okay, we need you to give us, access to track you because the app is a free app. So if you don't give us access, we might eventually have to start charging you. So you tell them the monetary benefit, tell them the personalization benefit that, okay, if you give us access to track you, we are going to be able to show you personalized ads. So because if they don't track, if they don't allow you, one of the challenge that I mentioned, earlier is the IDFA. Without it, you cannot, you won't be able to show personalized ads. So you need to explain some of these values to them. You also need to address the privacy concerns, that they have, and use urgency and fear of missing out, in your copy. Next slide, CK. Okay, so yeah, so if you've seen this Hollywood movie, The Field of Dreams, it's an interesting film that I always recommend people to watch. I mean, it's an 80s movie, about a farmer that cleared his farm. He had a voice in his head, telling him that he should build it and they will come. So he built a stadium, a baseball stadium in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of his farm, based on an hunch he got, because he believed that if he built it, baseball players would come. So at the end of the movie, he built it and magically the players came. So we should not have that mindset, that, once we build the product, users will magically come, and same thing applies to a lot of experienced advertisers also. We have all of these challenges that we have to overcome. And then if you don't, do anything about it, things will not get better on their own. So you need to be able to overcome these challenges. You need to overcome the field of dreams fallacy, because the fallacy, if you don't, do something about all of these challenges, and you don't find ways to overcome these challenges, users would not come. You're not going to get the growth that you're looking for. Yeah, so CK, have I overstayed my time?
Just a little bit, but that was quite interesting. Yeah, so I've seen that, there are many channels of acquisition, but as many channels as there are so many pitfalls as well. Exactly. So marketers need to be really aware of these pitfalls and all that. So I'm going to ask Mr. Chigozie what he thinks about mobile app personalization, what it is to him. Sir, maybe you can tell us what your slide is on mobile app personalization.
All right, thank you. And also thank you, the audience, for coming on board. Like Abbas did mention that when you go to the App Store or the iOS Store, there's a whole lot of apps there, right? So if you bring that back home to app development, right? Of course, app development has to do with features, right? For customers to use to achieve their various goals or aims. You understand? There are mobile apps and there are mobile platforms, right? So mobile platforms have more and more features, right? And here comes personalization, right? Now, it's all about giving your customers value. Personalization is about giving your customers an immediate value that saves them time, right? To do whatever it is that they want to do on your app and move to something else, right? Because your app is almost like App Store. There's so many features buried inside. When you come into, you see a dashboard. Within that dashboard, you see some features placed there, but there are other features here and there. You understand? So for me, I know my audience through what? Through data, right? I know the kind of things that they've been doing in the past, right? Through data, right? So in summary, personalization for me is all about creating that unique experience for all my customers so that whenever they come into my app, right? And this applies to any app, mobile app developer, right? Whenever they get into the app, right, you should be able to use their data to present to them those things that matter to them, because data has shown over time that whenever this customer comes on board, either he's doing one investment or the other, or doing the regular transfer, then you cannot peg it to the amount, talking about amount, So let me just come in. I always like doing, let's say, 1 million naira transfers every 25th of every month, for example. So once I come into the app, let it just be before me. Let me be the one to say, no, let me adjust the figure. So in summary, personalization provides that unique experience. It saves customers time and it gives them the desired value. So that's it, CK. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, I guess you said it very aptly. Using data, giving customers value, and making customers do things in a simpler way. So we have a poll question to ask you guys. What do you think powers app personalization the most? Is it data? Is it platform? Is it the idea? Or is it the team? So I'm going to give us some time to answer these questions. What powers app personalization the most based on the definition? All right, so let's talk about the app user's journey from being a prospect to a loyalist, right? So each time somebody, we have what is called a life cycle of app usage. And this life cycle actually advises you on how you should treat your customer. So we've outlined it here today. If you notice, the items in brown are acquisition activities, the items in green are retention activities, and the items in red are churn activities. So this is how we start. The prospect has a need. So, you might need to do something. In the case of banking, you need to do transactions on the go. In the case of utility apps, you need to track something. Or in the case of news app, you need to read something. So you have a need. And based on your need, you start looking for app options. So this is where the acquisition that Kayode spoke about comes into play. Some people actually check search engines. Some people go straight to the app store. Some people even ask their friends for referrals, right? So all that is looking at the app options. After that, post that, you install your app. Some people install multiple apps, and that is a challenge for marketers. So that is why you have to be on point with your engagement and your experience, because somebody is not just testing you, the person is testing multiple apps. We've spoken about how there are so many apps on the App Store and how users are more likely to uninstall an app if they've been using mobile phones for like 10 years or so, right? So the person finds your app and installs it. Next thing, the person does their first app launch. They launch your app for the first time. They see what it looks like and all that, okay? Then there's the desired conversion activity. What did they come to do on the app? Did they come to read news? Did they come to do a transaction? What did they come to do? So they now do the things that you have created that your app for. And if it works out well for them, they repeat it again. If they continue doing it many times enough, they become loyal. And if they become loyal, they might become an advocate, because when somebody is looking for an app, the person is very keen to say, hey, I'm using this app. Why not try this app to do what you are doing? But what I've just spoken about is the desired path for marketers and product owners. But sometimes we all know things don't go according to plan. At the point where somebody finds your app to install, there's a risk that they would not use your app because they don't have the inspiration to use the app. Maybe they feel, maybe the app, the sign-up process or registration process is too tedious, so they never get to use the app. Or maybe they just install the app and they're like, oh, I know a lot of us have done this. Me, I have done this severally. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to check out this app later. And maybe 3 weeks is still in my, app list, but I never opened it. Another point of drop-off is at the point of desired conversion activity. So somebody tries to do something from your app, it doesn't work, it fails. Poor app experience, they uninstall the app, right? So why this app journey is important? If you want to create a personalized experience for your customer, you need to think of the journeys. Like Mr. Chigozie said, he has spoken about how you have the data, you know what is going on. Why not create the unique experience for users? So what does knowledge of the app user's journey help you? It helps you to maintain intensity across the stages of the transaction, which we are going to show you when we're showing you your mobile app hacks that you can use. It helps you to encourage users to move to the next stage. So how do I encourage somebody who has installed the app to do the desired conversion activity? It helps you to monitor drop-offs. And if somebody happens to churn, you can try to win back the customer, or even though you can't win the customer, the knowledge of why the person got disenfranchised with your app is quite important, and you can use it for future marketing activities. So this is how the app user can play in the personalization space. Kaya, maybe you want to talk about the pirate metrics as a customer factor, and yes. Mr. Kaya, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So
yeah.
I mentioned the pirate metrics. That's the AARRR. So this is another illustration of that metrics, because if you see the last illustration I showed you, looks more like a funnel. And the thing about funnels is that it's basically, it doesn't it lacks emotion, right? It lacks emotion. It is not as detailed as what we have here, basically. So when we look at this particular illustration, we can see what I mentioned: the A for acquisition, A for acquisition, activation, AARR, and so can we next slide, okay? Okay, so like I said before, the job of any acquisition campaign, or of this framework, is to turn visitors, unaware visitors, to happy, passionate customers. I think that's the value, or that's the job of any business, on the planet, basically. And next slide, please, CK. So now you can see how we can apply the growth engines that I mentioned. So with so if you look here, you see that there are two places that you need to take note of. So the place which is, this image, like a factory, basically it has all of these arrows pointing to it. And this other image of the happy customer raising his hand, it has most of the arrows pointing out of it. So this is where a lot of drop-offs happen. So drop-offs happen at the point of acquisition and at the point of activation. Most of the drop-offs happen. And this is because, at the point of activation, especially, if you're not able to connect, the users with what you promised them. So if, for example, I'm trying to download an app, maybe you promised me that, oh, this app at the end of the day will make me happy, and I download that app and it doesn't deliver the results. Even though I've registered, I've been acquired already, the drop-off is going to happen. And let's say I paid for the app. At that moment, I'm going to request for a refund. So it's at this activation point that a lot of the magic happens. That is what determines whether the customer will stick, or the customer would bounce. And it doesn't matter if the customer has already paid you already. So if you are not delighting that customer, at the activation stage, it's going to ask for a refund, or it's going to, leave a bad review for you on the App Store, and a lot of referrals will not happen there, or, it's just going to delete and it will never come back to that app again. It will delete, block, and it will just, never ever come back to, no matter the, offers or promos, or refresh campaigns that you do, you just will not come back into that campaign. So, we should, from this, you can see that, the growth engines, work hand in hand, with the AR, strategy that the framework that I shared, so you can use the paid engine to drive acquisition. You can use the sticky engine to drive retention. I mentioned earlier that one of the common problems that people have, is making, after spending so much money acquiring users. I think, based on last campaign that we ran, acquiring a user cost from 50 cents to like $1, per install. So imagine spending so much of that with this current, exchange rates. So you're spending like 500 and something thereabouts, and the lifetime value for most apps, especially those fintechs and the rest is probably around 1,000 or 2,000 naira per user. And you spend that much acquiring the user doesn't stick around, the user churns, and you lose out on that precious lifetime value of the user. So basically, we need to be able to learn how to apply, and then we need to know when to apply the growth engines into our acquisition, retention, and referral strategies. Siki, over to you.
All right, thank you, Kayode, for that. Let's see the results of our questions. What powers app personalization the most? Most of our users agree that it is data, and next is the platform. So, and nobody voted for team. So everybody seems to think that data and platform is what powers app personalization. And we'll find out if we are right over the course of this session. We'll get if we're right on that. We have another poll question for you before I hand over to our speaker, Mr. Chigozie. So the second question for you is, what makes you uninstall a mobile app the most? So is it irrelevant communication, space on my phone, field service, or lack of use? So what makes you the most likely to uninstall a mobile app? I will appreciate it if we can answer those questions. So next thing, why does mobile app personalization make a difference? So we can see the mobile app penetration rates in sub-Saharan Africa from 2012 to 2015. And you can see that it's increasing year on year. All right. So how do you make a difference through personalization? These are a few things that personalization helps you to do. First of all, you can address the various touch points of the user. Dedicated engagement makes your customers feel special. So when you're following them across the customer journey, they feel special. It helps you to make them take the desired decisions on your app. So like Mr. Chigozie said, your app has so many features. How do you direct the person to use the right features? Kayode has spoken of the cost of acquisition. You spend so much on acquisition, you are not maintaining people. So it reduces your cost of acquisition when you get loyal customers. Personalization helps you in retention to create stickiness on your platform. You can target based on different things, location, demographics, and interests. And another thing you can use in personalization is creating customer segments. That helps. Sometimes there are two ways to create customer segments. There's usually the manual way, and there's the automated way. So a platform like Netcore Cloud can also help you take personalization to the next step. It can help you to identify customer segments based on their likelihood to convert. So for e-commerce stores that use our platform, we have things like, this user is likely to churn, this user is very active, this user is most likely to buy. And imagine if you can create that data with in an automated manner. It frees up the time of the marketer to engage on other things. I'm not trying to say data analysis is not the best way to go. It's actually the best way to go. But for teams who have a lean team, maybe you cannot afford like a data analyst team, like maybe a brand like Sterling Bank, right? You might have to go with platforms that can help you to predict segments on the fly. So let's see the answers to the poll question. What makes you uninstall a mobile app the most? Most of our users seem to think that it is lack of use that makes them uninstall a mobile app the most. right? Also, we spoke about the importance of data in personalization, how data helps to drive personalization. But there is also another thing with data. The other thing with data is that it actually has legislation against its use. And how do you use data in an ethical manner? How do you use data so that you don't get caught up in like a scandal or something like that? So our guest speaker, Mr. Chigozie, is going to talk about how you can balance the need for data privacy and engagement. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. And I also thank the audience for still staying put. We're going to gain a lot from this. So is engagement bad? Of course not. I mean, engagements are, I mean, they are needed. We need to engage our customers. But in these days, technology, IT has made life easy. I mean, of course, because I have your data with me, right? I can actually try to engage you, put things in your face in the name of marketing, right? Whether it's ethical, whether it's, I just want to put things in your face, so at least I can drive my own sales and meet my own targets, right? So in this segment, we're going to go into how to balance this and how to make sure everyone feels comfortable, right? And also how to address our initial drive using data. Of course, you know, during the early days of data science and data this, data that, you know, everybody just get data and operate. Of course, there are no, before the legislators put up our NDPR, right, that speaks to our own kind of privacy of the GDPR. I mean, a lot of breach has already happened in a subtle way, some aggressive, some customers don't really care or don't know, but that will not continue in the future. By then, everybody becomes aware, right? So it's good as an organization, you put things in place and put some kind of culture and practices in place to ensure that your company to align with the best practices in data, I mean, balancing data privacy and also engaging your customer. So we'll jump in right away. All right, so I start with this very simple example so that we all can easily connect. So I'm using the WhatsApp group chat for an illustration. So imagine, and some of you might have experienced this, because I have, you know, I mean, just imagine you see that you've been added into a WhatsApp group. People you don't know about, they're talking about one investment that will give you millions. I mean, like I put here, 1 million naira, maybe in 2 days, if you can just invest 1,000 naira, you know. At first, you open the WhatsApp, you go to the group list, and you see faces of people you don't even know, people that you can't even relate or connect with. You feel comfortable, you feel like, oh, you've been exposed, because for all you care, the mobile number is there. I mean, if for any contact you don't have, the mobile number will be displayed. Any mobile that will go through, for as long as the mobile number is within the Nigerian coverage, the 234 coverage, it will go through. So which means somebody I don't know can actually get my data and call me. That's how bad it is. And that's why privacy is very, very key, right? Of course, as I said, how will you feel about this? Nobody will feel happy. You'll be like, what's this? You will just exit yourself. And that's one cool thing that WhatsApp did to ensure that you have a way to opt out, right? No matter the time. There's one that happened to me. I mean, I think I did have time to look at my WhatsApp. But in the evening, when I opened my phone, I just saw that, oh, I said, what is this investment? I also, a lot of people have been leaving. Like, who is this? I don't even know them. I just click on exit. So I left the group. Right. So let's go in. All right. So in solving the problem of privacy and engagement, right? Really, uh, almost all app developers make this mistake, or they don't pass through this phase that I'm presenting here during the onboarding, right? It's just only a few apps you see that are doing this. So during onboarding, what this slide is trying to simply say is this. during onboarding, provide the customers with the opportunity for them to indicate their areas of interest. So with that, the customer is informed. So meaning that, oh, yes, I'm coming into your app, right? I'm also telling you that, hey, go ahead, show me adverts, the things that relates to like what I have on screen here: economy, marketing, entrepreneurship, digital design, leadership, right? Because I am interested in those kind of things. What that means is that whenever the organizations start pushing those kind of adverts to my screen or to my mobile app, either to push notification or in-app notification, right? I won't feel somehow. I won't feel anyhow. I'll feel comfortable because I allowed it. Do you understand? So that's why this segment, right? This part is never too late for any mobile app developer, right? Through their design thinking with their respective team and business unit to reason along to say, hey, how do we ab initio get customers to give their consent to say, hey, push this data to me so that we can push those adverts to them, and as well as knowing that by the time we are pushing this kind of advert to them, we will get the expected results. So be it investment. Oh, let's say you're in the mobile app now, right? You log onto the mobile app, and what you're saying is about investment that you actually subscribe for that investment. Then there will be a possibility of the app, I mean, the organization getting the desired result, right? That is by converting such customers to put in more money to do investment with them, as against just pushing generally to people, invading their privacy, and you end up losing all of them. And the worst part of it is that some of the customers can actually uh, perceive that organization that they don't have respect. They don't have respect for data privacy, and that trust will no longer be there. So, as an organization, you ensure that you give customers that option. I mean, the option to select what they want, right? And you can then begin to push those. Start engaging them, right? And if you're part of those people like me who didn't do this at the first instance, right? There's also a way. Move to the next slide, please. Yes, there's also another way. I mean, it's tagged as opt-in and opt-out, right? So what that means is that, so assuming we've been pushing notification to people or to customers, right? And the customers no longer feel comfortable, right? And you want to make them have that comfort to say, oh, within your mobile application, right, that the customers could actually go to the settings within the app. So I go to my app, I go to settings. Within that settings, I should be able to turn off the ad. Say, oh, I don't want this push notification. I should be able to turn on the ones that interest me. So with that, what you've done invariably is to give me the control, right? It gives me the control, and that helps me perceive the organization as an organization that have the privacy culture embedded in them from top management down to everybody within that organization. So it helps the design thinking, right? It helps the architectural design and the implementation of the mobile app, right? So if you have your mobile app so that you push things to customers, right? Always give them that option to be able to opt out, right? And also allow them to opt in, because opting in is what you want. What customer wants is their privacy. Once you grant that privacy and you give them the option to take control of what gets to them, right, and what doesn't get to them, so customer feels like a king, right, and they will respect your brand and they will stay with you, and you hear them by word of mouth get people to join your organization. Next slide. All right. So most times organizations do talk about their brands, my brand, this, my brand, that. So probably use a particular logo to represent who they are. So whenever you see that logo, you know, this represents this represents that, right? Well, privacy also requires every organization to push it as a brand, right? So when I talk about social brand, we talk about privacy of data, right? Every customer comes to realize that, oh, this organization, they are particular and they are conscious, both in design and their engagement, that customers' privacy is key, right? So that means it's a culture that will earn trust. Because the truth is this: if a customer does not trust you, why would they stay with you? No matter how beautiful your app is, they won't. I mean, they won't trust you. Let alone this time that we're having. I mean, I think we're moving from millennials to Gen Z. This kind of customers, they're really not that patient, and they want to know where their data is, who is in charge of their data, who is seeing what, and they also want to be in charge. So, of course, once your brand is perceived as a privacy brand, right, irrespective of whatever you call your name, it is a good practice to ensure that you present your brand, right, present the brand with privacy talked about, right? I mean, if I go on your app, I should be able to see one or two things around privacy around your app. I should be able to know that you have me at the back of your mind. I mean, my data will use safe, and I have the power to opt in or opt out on what I don't want to see. So with that, you're not invading my privacy. With that, you're not pushing things that I really don't want to see. And with that, I'm empowered as a customer to opt in or opt out, and I feel comfortable and I stay with the brand and I keep doing more business and even get more people to come join. So that's what I have for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. It's interesting what you've spoken about. Privacy is a big concern. Funny enough, I got added to a WhatsApp group yesterday without my consent. I actually left the group and blocked the person who added me to the group. Like you said, privacy is really important. It should be taken seriously. And a lot of scammers out there doing a lot of funny things, all right? We had a poll question where we talked about what makes you uninstall a mobile app the most. Most people said it was lack of use that made them uninstall the mobile app. Thank you guys for that input. Lack of use, and some people said space on my phone, failed services. So that means that brands need to do better to make sure that they minimize the size of their apps, the service is working, and they encourage people to actually use the app. So you can see the importance of the personalization that we preach about today. So let's find out. So we've spoken about data privacy right now. What's your greatest fear of data privacy? So when you are using digital platforms, what are you afraid the most when it concerns data privacy? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that topic. Okay, so let's just have a brief discussion with our guest. So how do you build effective teams for engaged personalized marketing? Most of our audience don't seem to think that the team is a great factor in doing personalized marketing. So I wonder what my guest speaker thinks. So Mr. Chigozé, maybe I'll ask you the question. How do you handle syncing marketing requirements with technology requirements in your role in Sterling Bank? So, sometimes they say that I was reading a post the other day where a marketer was telling the product team that when I die, I would like the product team. No, when I die, I would like the engineers to lay me down in my grave so that I can be let down one last time. That's what the marketer said. And the technology guy replies, finally, you have given a clear request.
Very clear.
So how do we sync these marketing requirements with technology requirements, sir?
Okay. Okay. So sorry, let me just adjust my screen.
All right.
Yeah. So in building an effective team, the thing is this: there is this disconnect between the vision of an organization, right, and the people that make up that organization, right? So, and the connecting factor there is what we call trust, right? Now, if I'm to build an effective, what's it called, effective marketing strategy using technology, right? Of course, data is there, right? But because team is involved, that means the vision that I have, right, needs to be cascaded to my team members, and they all buy into it, and they trust that yes, oh, they believe in your cause, right, and they believe in the outcome that is going to come out of the effort that they're going to put together to ensure that this happens. You get. So with that, you've solved one major area. Now they trust you. Now they know that, okay, fine. By the time this gets to top management, you know, everybody will be recognized. Not that you go take all the glory and you make them look as if they are not doing anything. You get. So here comes data, right? So now your team trusts you. Now they're inspired. They've connected with you, your mission and your vision, and they can now use data with all the skills that they've acquired to come up with a marketing strategy that does not involve any human, right? No human is involved. What that means is that we've been able to channel all our customers into various categories that will know the kind of thing to push to them, right? So we'll build all those things in place, and we go forth with the marketing, knowing that of course, I'm not pushing to someone who I know that is using a bank, for example, that is monthly savings will not be sufficient to what's it called, buy a Ferrari. So I wouldn't target those kind of people. You get. So to build an effective team around marketing syncing with technology, for me, that trust, that's a trust synergy, connection with my team members, uh, working with data, right, on the on the business requirements to come up with the technical implementation, and off we go with our marketing. That work usually for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess this is an internal battle, product and technology. And yeah, you've suggested some nice ways of solving this conflict. Kayode, how do you make teams stay on top in your work with digital marketing? How do you make teams stay on top of industry and technology trends so that you can leverage on these personalization concepts that we discussed about?
Okay, so yeah, so there's this the traditional ways, you know, things are organized in organizations in different companies, you know, is everybody is a separate unit, so they exist in silos. You know, there's the marketing department, the growth, I mean, the marketing, the tech, you know, all of this, you know, all of these things. So there's a need for you know, all of these silos to be bridged. Everybody has to, you know, come together, you know, because the organization's goals and objectives, you know, it supersedes everybody's, you know, personal or departmental interest. You know, so what we have done, I mean, what I've done with my team is basically we all even share the same, you know, office space, you know, so we have everybody from, you know, all of the different teams, you know, cohabiting together. So we are all together in the same space, right? The marketers, the, you know, tech guys, you know, data analysts, you know, everybody. So we have, you know, basically share the same space, cohabit the same space. And from there, we work as a team. So we have, you know, sessions where we, you know, learning sessions, we have, you know, learning and development sessions, we have, you know, stand-ups, you know, we have, you know, a lot of, well, we use a lot of instant communication tools. You know, there's WhatsApp, you know, there's an in-house tool called Bitrix24, you can check it out, you know. So there's a learning and, you know, development sort of like plan that everybody has to follow that is standardized, you know, or to, you know, for everybody, you know. So so that's the way that, you know, everybody on the team, you know, is able to, you know, be in the know and stay on top of, you know, industry trends, industry knowledge, you know, because we're constantly, you know, we're together, we're learning, there's that plan in place. And so, I mean, it benefits the organization in the long run.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's great because if you want to react to a dynamic environment, you have to be dynamic yourself. and seek easier ways of doing things. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and then we have our partners, I mean, in NetScore, you know, so basically I think that, you know, it's impossible for an agency or an organization to work in isolation. So you need to have partners, especially software partners, you know, so NetScore is there, a good partner of, you know, WSI. And so, I mean, in terms of, you know, we have both our in-house and then our partners handling, you know, in staying on top of, you know, industry trends and tech trends. Yeah.
And also too, yeah, glad you mentioned Hector, because another thing, part of what we try to do is beyond selling a product, we also try to sell the knowledge and the industry trends, right? So, you know, trying to share the knowledge, you know, make the industry mature, intellectually, in the environment, intellectually mature enough to handle these concepts, you know. So that's part of what we do, like a session like this, where we are educating people for free on the concepts of personalization, every area of personalization, you know. So I think technology providers and vendors need to play a role in that too. So this is the poll questions. What is your greatest fear of privacy? Very interesting. And the greatest fear of privacy is illegal collection of information. I don't know, Mr. Chikozé, do you want to speak on this? Because a lot of people seem to think that illegal collection of information is a great fear from them. Is there any way you think that you can abate those fears? I know now we have a lot of data privacy regulations that protects the average consumer from your information being illegally collected. But is that enough for the people who are afraid today?
Well, Jugudi and the audience, really, I also align with the audience with this, with their points, right? I align with them because the truth is this: it is one thing to have, what's it called? It's one thing to claim to say you have all these policies in place, right? GDPR, whatever you call it, for data privacy and all that, and it's another thing for you to, I think they call it walk the talk, right? That's for you to walk the talk and make people to believe you, right? In all honesty, as a professional, any organization, whether app, right, or app or whatever, if they're going to collect your data, they must let you know. That's the standard. They must let you know. Now, if they are not letting you know and they collect your data, right? Sometimes, I mean, you'll be surprised. Sometimes, most of the people doing this, they might not even be cognizant or aware of the impact of what they are doing. You get, because they know, okay, fine. What's it called? You have the data with you, so you think you can just play around with it anyhow, or you have an application to. I mean, you have a tool to collect those data. Then you cannot do whatever you want to do with it without letting the person know, right? Really, it's a difficult one, right? But however, there are ways organizations are beginning to, what's it called, try to let people know how serious they are with your privacy, right? And that speaks to either engaging, I think the big four auditors, right? They come audit your firm, they come check, what's it called, to see how far, right? How far an organization has gone with regards to putting structures in place to ensure that data, I mean, it's not illegally collected, one, and used anyhow. That is, we know who are those that have access, right? There are check and maker here and there to ensure that people don't just jump into data they see. I mean, people don't just access data anyhow, right? So back to the illegal collection of information, right? Here's my own advice: if you, the moment you get to know, that's the day you get to know. Because if I'm not telling you when you're onboarding my app to say I'm going to collect your info, I'm going to push notification to you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then I collect your info. I use the word free app, free this, you get free this. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, so probably I put up, I built an app and I call it free this. Maybe after you download, you get free airtime. For example, let's say 500 worth of airtime. then you download it. I'm making profit off your data because as part of what I've collected, probably your demography, your age, and all this kind of stuff, and I sell it to maybe a particular campaign organization. As 2023 is coming on now, right? I mean, and you wouldn't know where your data is, right? I could remember during one of the elections, I got a call. So I mean, tell me their company was also party. They want me to vote, and I asked, how did you get my data? That was the first thing I asked. Yeah, they said I shouldn't worry that they know how to, And he said it like a superstar, but I didn't like that again. But hey, they've called me already, and I picked the call. Again. So really, I align with their concern, right? But like I said, there are ways to deal with that, and of course, I will also advise the audience be looking up any organization, right, where you know your data is. Any site you visit, right, any mobile app you use, just know that your data is with them. Be reading up information about them online so that when you get to hear something has happened, right, you know how to quickly opt out of that place. You understand my point? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for that. Good to know that there are structures in place that can protect consumers, and also we can do one or two things to prevent our data from being illegally collected. So let's jump straight to, I think we're well past that time, so I'll try to go through this in 5 minutes. Let's jump straight to what you can do to personalize on your mobile app. So we've said it severally. The most important thing is data, okay? You can use data to find out a lot of things. Take, for example, this is something that the Netcore platform can do. It identifies the reason why people uninstall your app. So by looking at your app uninstall analytics, you can see things that might not be great for your app, and you can send personalized communication to your customers, telling them how to do the actual thing on the app, or maybe apologizing for doing something wrong, maybe a failure of service. So you can see how you can optimize your screens to see which screens are causing the most drop-offs. And based on the ones that are causing the most drop-offs, you can improve it, or you can do some things like nudges, which I'll show you in future, to personalize. Another important set of analytics you should be looking at is your retention analytics. You need to understand how your customers are being retained over time, how many people are leaving, right? You can also use automation like automated emails, push notifications to engage the customer to increase their lifetime value. Some people have said that the reason why they uninstall apps is lack of use. If you monitor your retention analytics, you will not have a lot of people uninstalling your app for lack of use. Another thing you can do is for your acquisition campaigns, you can use what is called clickstream analytics to identify the dropouts data. So Kayode spoke about web to app relationships. How can you see, okay, so if 1,000 people come from your website to your app and only 20 people use the app, what is wrong? Why did 980 people drop off? So you can use funnels to see the desired path, to plot the desired path. A platform like Netcore can do this for you. You plot your desired path and you see what kind of drop-offs you are getting and what time it's taking for people to complete each step. If you are giving a promise of my website, we can sign up in 5 minutes, right? And you use a tool like this and you find out that people are taking 30 minutes on average to sign up, that means you are not fulfilling your promise. That means you are not creating that trust to your prospects or customers. So you need to do something about that. Mr. Chikose wants to talk about a hack that I'm sure probably Sterling Bank uses, using data and AI to engage their customers. Sir, do you want to talk a bit on this?
Yes. So for those that are into data science, or those that like building models, or that have come across some models or algorithm and thinking of a use case in their environment, here is a simple one, right? K-means algorithm is one of the AI algorithm that helps to segment customers in this scenario into various buckets, right? So you put on your Python code and start to build your model, right? Looking at customers, let me say, maybe monthly turnover or quarterly turnover, depending on whatever formula you want to use, right? The most important thing is that at least you're able to bucket your customers. You now know those with high, maybe huge amount of money within a particular bracket or within a particular range, right? You'll be able to tell your low, medium, and high customer, right? Based on that, based on whatever formula you've decided to work with. The most important thing here is data and the K-means algorithm. Those are the two things that are most important. Put them within your C# code, run it, test your model, right? The output cannot be transited into a database system that your mobile app will latch on, right? For what's it called, for push notification or in-app notification. So I log onto my app because I subscribe to it or I have a way to turn it off. At least I get to see it, right? And uh, I'm seeing it based on the marketing campaign that I would like to run. So let's say, oh, I'm pushing for asset finance, right? And I know, okay, fine, or probably a particular home goes for 900 million naira, for instance, right? Because you fall under the bucket that covers that kind of amount, it means that you're the target customer that I'm looking for, right? So what the AI or data has helped me to do now is to help me know who those customers are. So when I target you, I know I'm going to get the expected output. And I mean, it's a different ballgame when you send it to your customers bucketed under your low income customers, right? Because you won't get the expected turnaround from such kind of customer, right? So, like I said, we need a mobile app, right? I've used the AI to build my model, get my data ready, put into a database. I have it populated in my mobile app. From the mobile app, I can see, I get to receive a personalized marketing that covers my kind of personality, call it a high network customer in your bank or in your organization, right? So with that, of course, you save the cost of uh, putting up things, in air or radio or whatever. But I know that within your app, since your customers are engaged, they don't come to the banking hall, right? Do it within the app there, and that will save you time. So that's one of the ways you can hack this using AI and using AI algorithm and data. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. AI is something that we strongly believe in Netcore, that I think it empowers marketers to do their job easier and get better results. For sure, we have some AI on our platform as well that can help customers engage on their mobile app. Here are some other things that you can do. Do away with text-only push notifications. So sometimes it shocks me to see that brands are sending only text push notifications when you have the opportunity to use images, GIFs, and things like that. So if you look on the screen on the left, you see a GIF notification. It is quite engaging. It shows that the brand gives more thought to the customers. For me personally, as a mobile app user, I kind of get irritated if I see a push notification with a typo or a push notification with a text that is just written haphazardly. I just feel as if the brand doesn't care about me. They are trying to push things to me. So one thing about personalization is actually creating a unique experience. You can create a unique experience with rich push notifications. You can do carousels, you can do GIFs, you can do portraits, so many things to engage, right? Another thing that we can do is personalized notification. Actually, one of the few brands that I know that does it is a Sterling Bank brand. That would be iInvest. So the other day, I was looking at my push notification tray and the message says, "Hello, Chukudi." And I was very excited. I was like, wow, finally, somebody calls my name with a mobile app push notification, right? So it's good to send personalized push notifications. Look at this. Look at these people. You have three sets of people. You have Eneha, Vaseka, and Vinay. These three people are getting the push notification at the same time, but they are getting different content based on their behavior. So for some of them, one of them is looking for like a drama movie. Somebody is more concerned with comedy movies. Another is more concerned with romantic movies, right? So you can imagine the kind of engagement. For these push notifications, we actually did it for a client, and we had 15 to 18% increase in their click-through rates, okay? Other things, product recommendation in notification. So this is what Mr. Chigozie was talking about, in-app notifications at the right time. So you see somebody while he's on your app, show the person something that is quite interesting. You can see people using stuff like promo codes. This is what is called in-app messages. They happen while you're in your app. You'll be surprised at the kind of conversions and click-through rates you can get from it. You can see that for brands who do product recommendations, they have been able to increase their click-through rates by almost 18%. Another thing that can work is personalized category listing pages. So if this is for e-commerce stores, you have applications today like Netcore that can help you to reorder your category pages based on customer interactions. Like if I go to a major shopping website that has like 100 SKUs, 100 categories, why am I seeing things that I'm not interested in? That can help to reduce the level of transactions. We have seen almost 60 to 80% higher click-through rates when you send personalized categories that are reordered per user. So this is another thing that you can do as a brand. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is nudges, okay? Nudges are very key in, showing new features in a very innovative way, right? So, and it also helps to push users so that they can convert. So you can see different nudges being done if somebody is spending long time choosing an option, or when somebody onboards, or for feature discovery. Like Mr. Chigozie said, your app has so many features. How do we point people to the right features? So you can see like this kind of app, when somebody logs in for the first time, they are actually showing you areas of the app, how you can use it. This is what is called coach marks. So you can use coach marks for your mobile app. These work wonders in feature adoption for your mobile app. So when somebody launches your app for the first time, show them and highlight the places that they can go. Don't assume that they know. You can see things like guided walkthroughs, featured tips, funnel reminders. All these things help to create retention and push people across the funnel like we spoke about. Then also for activation. So Kayode spoke of activation. You spend so much money on acquisition. How do you activate the customer to do that first desired transaction? So you can use nudges as well to highlight areas that are desired for you, and you want people to use those particular features. Look at telecom industries increasing their recharges by 70%. Why? Just by simply telling people on their app you can recharge straight on the app, right? So you would imagine how many times I was using a banking app and I say, hey, wow, these guys have just started offering this bill. I never knew that on the app. Probably you sent me an email about it. But with nudges, you can show me while I'm in the app that this feature is available. See another one of a success story that we have for a ride-sharing app called Quick Ride, how we were able to reduce the funnel dropouts by 11% using personalized notification and coach mark. So in conclusion, what we have to say is that acquiring new customers costs 5 times more than retaining an existing customer. You need personalization to increase customer engagement. You need to build customer loyalty. You need to cause retention, and you need to arrest churn. Personalization can do this for you. All you have to do is think, be more data-driven, be more data-conscious, use the right platform, organize your team the right way, and you can see how you can get, good positives from personalization. So that's it for our session for today. Do we have some final thoughts from our speakers before we ask 1 or 2 questions? Because our audience has a few questions. Any final thoughts from our speakers? I guess I am done with my talk for today. Kayode, any final thoughts?
Okay. So for me, right, clearly it is an eye opener for everyone, as well as a good thing to interact with people, to also get feedback from them, right, and also pass the knowledge. We've all gained 1 or 2 things from each other, right? I know a lot of people will be wondering which bank does personalization, how many apps does personalization in Nigeria, and all that. Yeah, it might really not be that obvious, right? Really, it might really not be that obvious. It all depends on the strategy and the implementation architectural flow that every organization have chosen to want to adopt. However, right, it is a practice that is beginning to gain ground, right? So you do not expect a big bang, but the awareness becomes obvious to everyone. People will now begin to see reason why they should adopt personalization as part of the application development life cycle. Let me paint a picture. Data, for example. I mean, there was from last year till now or 2 years ago. All of a sudden, data is or everybody's talking about data. You know, even some top management even struggle to understand what is this all about. Do you understand? What is even between the data that we are talking about from what we've been collecting all this while? What has happened all of a sudden? All because new new ways of using that data to achieve so many things in the organization came up, right? And that's what led to this sudden transformation. Definitely, in the future, for all me, I expect, right? Most organizations are doing hybrid personalization. And when you go and you see some things already defaulted there on the app, right? And the personalization will be layered on whatever it is, whatever app that you're using. So it's going to be a gradual phase. It's going to be a gradual process. I'm sure most people here, when they go back to the various organizations, they will go and they will go and start having design thinking sessions with their teams on how to embed personalization going forward in their respective apps. So feel free to reach out. Of course, we have Chukudi Netcore team. They can always bring up more sessions where we can share from what you've learned and what you've gone to do, right? Also boost the confidence of other people and encourage others too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for answering that. And I noticed you answered most of the questions on the chat. How much data is gained from installing a free app? More personalization. Sterling Bank is coming up with some cool personalization features and Nigerian banks that are using personalization. Thank you so much for that. We have other questions. What's the ideal personalization for a travel company? Let me just take one or two questions. What's the ideal personalization for travel companies? So, like I said, it's all about the customer journey. Once you're able to plot your customer journey from first point of contact to repeat business, you'll be able to know how you can personalize. So if you want to know how to personalize for anything, right, just start from the customer journey. First, start with the customer journey. Get your data about the people on different stages on the customer journey, then start personalizing. It's that simple, and there are platforms that you can be able to use to achieve that. Unfortunately, we're well past the time. We're sending the slides with our email addresses. If you have any questions, you can ask. In summary, what we are saying is that, the market problem is there are challenges. Product discovery is a challenge, lack of intelligence, lack of meaningful data, and intense competition also from other brands, right? This can cause businesses to have low click-through rates, low ROIs, having low conversion rates, low revenues, and all that, right? Customer acquisition is expensive. You need to change the narrative by using personalization and engagement. If you are using a platform like Netcore, we offer you product recommendations, rich media notifications, in-app messages, and contextual walkthroughs. So all the features, all the hacks I've shown you today about how you can personalize for your mobile app, Netcore platform has those features, and you can be able to use them quite easily, right? So, it's all about the platform also as well, and it's all about your willingness to go with personalization. In our work doing personalization for the past 1 year, we have had amazing and tremendous results from our customers. Increase in conversions, increase in add to carts, increasing their marketing ROI by as much as 10x. And sometimes it happens in a pretty short time. You'll be surprised how much impact you get by implementing personalization today. In 3 months, you could probably be celebrating. So this is a little bit about Netcore. So the final thing I want to talk about is we are having a Martech Mashup, the product edition. This is our global virtual summit, a first of its kind for B2C product and growth leaders. I would have you know that we already have 1,200 registrations for this event. You do not want to miss it. If you've read the book Hooked by Nir Eyal, you will know that this book is a powerful book and it helps product leaders to build engaging brands that you can retain products and all that. This is a bestseller and we have this author as our keynote speaker. So you have an opportunity to ask this author questions. You know, you can talk about your business. You have different attendees from different countries. So it's a place where, you know, knowledge is going to be plentiful and you don't want to miss it for sure. That is happening on August 5th, 2021 is our Global Virtual Summit. And we wish that you are going to attend. Of course, we'll be giving you more updates and we'll be reminding you closer to the event. If you check the chat box, you would see that there's a registration link. You can register for the Martech Mashup today. We've put it on the chat, so make sure you register. You do not want to miss it. The way technology is moving, the way product marketing is changing, the way product marketing is getting dynamic, you don't want to miss an opportunity to learn from the best and learn from, you know, professionals on how to do it right. So this is the end of our session. I want to thank our guest speaker. First of all, I would love to thank Mr. Chigozie for taking out his time to do this session with us. We definitely appreciate your insights. We love it when professionals who are in the front line are giving us insights because we know it's not just theory, it's practical. Thank you so much, sir, for attending this session. Also, we'd like to thank Mr. Kayode Abbas. Thank you so much for being a part of our panelists today. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on acquisition and all that. We are going to be sharing this recording of the video. We're also going to be sharing the PowerPoint presentation, and you see some few resources that you know you can take advantage of, you can download and for keepsake. So this is the end of our session. Thank God It's Intelligent Friday, Volume 5. Thank you so much for attending, and you have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody.